Hi, beautiful ones. My intention with the Shamangelic Healing Podcast is to be a platform that explores real-life issues and provides you with valuable insights and practical tools to support you on your journey of healing core wounds and reclaiming your power and manifesting a thriving, impactful life that you absolutely love. You see, it's my dream to inspire millions to shine. So if you find these topics valuable, please take a moment and share the podcast and leave us a rave review. This helps the podcast grow and reach the people that would greatly benefit from these insights. Thank you so much for tuning in and investing in your personal development. I'm right here walking this journey with you. So let's dive into this episode. Welcome to the Shamangelic Healing Podcast. This is Anahata, and I'm so excited for you to join us on this deep, soulful conversation about intentional living and how to manifest your dream life, especially during these unpredictable and challenging times, how important intentional living is. My guest today is Erin Doppelt, and she has the Wise Woman podcast. And I was actually a guest on her show, episode number 45, so we'll be sure to have that in the links. And that show was about co-creating with the universe. So we had this beautiful conversation. She's such a like-minded sister. She's a spiritual business coach, a meditation teacher, and really focuses on emotional intelligence and positive psychology in her training and coaching. So she is just amazing. Her background is in psychology and meditation, and her knowledge and skill set in this area is just really deep and very practical and intelligent. So I know you're going to love her. So also she has given us some information about how to take a meditation quiz so that you can find out what kind of meditation practice would be best for you. So be sure to check out the link that we have in the show notes to take her free meditation quiz. And also check the free link as well that we have in the show notes to get your free quantum manifestation meditation from me, and also some information about some upcoming events we have. For the ladies in the house, we have our Soulful Sacred Feminine Awakening the Sacred Feminine series. This is an online series. It's a deep experience of womb healing and awakening the sacred feminine and sacred sexuality. The first offering of this went over so beautifully, and everybody actually loved how deep and transformational the experience was, to really look at the core wounds behind the womb trauma, and also just how we were raised as women, and just remembering who we are before all of these imprints and all of these distortions occurred, to really awaken that, peel back the layers, and allow the rose in the garden to blossom again. So check that out. And we have 2 retreats coming up in September in Sedona. One is the Soul Awakening Retreat, a 2.5-day intimate experience here on the land in Sedona. A powerful journey inward, and it's a great time to just retreat from all of the chaos, get clear, get nourished, and get out on the land and meet other like-minded individuals. So check out our Soul Awakening Retreat, September 11th through the 14th. And of course, our Goddess Awakening Retreat is at the end of September, and that is a soulful journey of awakening the sacred feminine and the goddess within. So if you are a woman and called to that, come and join us at the end of September. That is filling fast. And also the Soul Awakening Retreat, that's a co-ed retreat, also filling fast. So I wanted to let you know about those 2 events in September, and also the Sacred Feminine series, a very deep inward journey. So wanted to let you know about those things, and of course, as always, appreciate you tuning in. Check the free gift links in the show notes, and let's dive into this episode with Erin. Okay, my soul sister Erin in the house here in Sedona. So grateful. We had, you're visiting here in Sedona, and we had some beautiful time on the land. like a sweet sunset journey, intentional time where we picked a card, set intentions, and let go with the sun, but also planted seeds of intention. And the podcast is about intentional, purposeful living, especially during these challenging and unpredictable times. And I thought how perfect it would be while you're still in Sedona to sit down with you and receive your deep, soulful wisdom on intentional living, because I think you're really phenomenal at this, and I'm so glad you're here with me.
Thank you so much. And that was the best day. Anahata invited me in to pick some stones, and I wanted to pick this one rock that said prosperity, but it was kind of big and heavy, and we took this heavy rock and we carried it, and it was such an interesting metaphor to like the heaviness of prosperity, and then realizing how light it is,
right,
in this like beautiful space where we lay it on the land. It's so healing here.
Yeah, it is. This is why I love living here, and this is why so many people love coming here to Sedona, is because it's an intentional destination. People come here with the intention of healing or rejuvenation or spiritual awakening or play, or rest, or to have a writing retreat, or a family gathering, or couples come here all the time to do things as well as individuals. So it's a very intentional place. So that was really soulful on the land. And this is one of the things about intentional living is when I go on the land, I go with intention. You know, what's my intention? Is it fitness? Is it replenishment? Am I going to the land as my church today, as my gym, or as my sanctuary, you know? So what do you think is a challenge people have, especially during these times where there's so much that is unpredictable and outside of our control? What can we control? How do we do this intentional living thing when so much in the equation is a variable?
This is a super high and holy question. And if you're listening to this episode and you're present with us right now, it's because you are looking for a deeper way to connect to yourself, a deeper way to connect to the world around you. And just to name it, like conflict is at an all-time high, and depression and anxiety is at an all-time high. And I mean, this is, I mean, a lot of my background is clinical psychology. So even though that I'm in the spiritual business coaching world and I teach meditation, and it's more, my clients are coming to me and they're having fights with their partners and their children, or they gained the quarantine 15 and they're spending, the biggest one I hear is we are spending so much time on screens. So this is the most Netflix we've ever watched. This is the most time we've ever spent scrolling on Instagram. So intentional living first starts, number one, with awareness.
Yeah.
So pausing, reflecting, looking at your schedule throughout the day. I just had a client, I had a client call. It's somebody who wanted to work with me on like one-on-ones, like a very VIP level. She's like, Erin, I don't know if I have the time to invest in myself and in my business. And I said, open up your iPhone right now and show me how much screen time you have. And she had 3.5 hours of screen time, which is actually below average.
Per day?
Per day.
Per day.
Isn't it bananas?
Wow.
So I was like, listen, if you have 3.5 hours to be on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, you have 30 minutes to show up for your great work. So first and foremost, starts with awareness, being aware that you even want to shift, that you do want to live an intentional life. And what is holding you back? We have 24 hours in a day, which is the same as every other person. And we all connect to this time, this like Roman calendar differently. So as witches, as healers, as gods and goddesses, you can stretch time. And I think these are principles that people are familiar with, but they won't name it as such. Like when you're having the time of your life and you just want to really be enveloped in that moment, time can stretch and be there for you in that moment. This is when Kundalini Kriyas are really helpful, or breath work, or even guided meditation and journaling practices. So if you are somebody who is looking to stretch time so you can do more things that feel intentional to you, it's a really good time to bring in a morning practice.
I think that morning practice is critical.
Yeah, it's medicine.
It is. I think in the high performance coaching that I do, it's one of our number one things is the morning empower hour, the inspire hour, personal me time, whatever you call it, that intentional time. And I think what goes along with what you were saying before that is that is not a time of screens. That there is, it's airplane mode, or the phone or the computer is never on during that time. And so that is starting the day with intention is also not starting it vortexed into commenting or posting. Like, that's not the time to post, even if it is part of your business to post to social media. You don't do it the first time of the day.
Right.
Just so that you don't get pulled into the 2 hours of your morning, getting pulled into everybody else's intentions for your day. So what is, and I think too that I've noticed with getting my morning started, it has to do with getting my evening tighter. Because if I'm not having an intentional evening and I'm up, let's say on screens or up super late, my morning is not as on purpose or on track. Or if I was up late, then the time I have to myself before I start the rest of my business day or other day, the rest of my day, gets kind of gypped, because my evening wasn't intentional. So I realized that it goes hand in hand. That I had to set like a little alarm on my phone to like start slowing down or shutting down or getting off screens and having an intentional evening, so that I'm decompressing earlier, so that I can get a great sleep, so that I am up earlier and I've stretched my morning time. Like you said, stretch time.
Absolutely.
I stretch it by having a more intentional evening.
I love it. And there's a practice that I encourage everyone to take, which is a brain dump after dinner. So it's not necessarily something that you want to do right before bed, because it can also arouse you to want to do your work or do your next day and get you very excited. So a good sweet spot is after dinner, when you're having like a digestive tea, like a mint or a chamomile. And I've been getting the most insanely amazing mint at this farmer's market in Sedona. Yes. Life-altering, like blissed out on it. So while you're drinking your mint tea and really getting clear on the top 3 goals that you have for the following day. Yeah. So it doesn't have to be so extreme all the time. Like, sometimes my top 3 goals are doing laundry. Sometimes it's auditing a sales funnel. Sometimes it's going live on IGTV or Instagram or Facebook. So just being very clear that there are 3 goals that you can create, and then you are allowed to jot down other little tasks, but never really more than you feel like you can bite off. But it's good to put everything on paper. And then once you have your 3 top goals, a little bit of a brain dump, it's also good to do some gratitude. Now, gratitude is just, and I'm sure you talk about gratitude all the time. Absolutely. On this podcast. And it's actually a shame. In 2009, the National Institute of Health came out with a life-altering study that measured our brain on gratitude, and it did not get the right press. Like, it should have gone completely viral. Like, everybody should know this, because what they found is when you practice gratitude, you are increasing activity in your hypothalamus, and your hypothalamus regulates eating, sleeping, drinking, like your thyroid, like all the things that you need to be a healthy, functional human being. All you got to do is think about what you're grateful for.
Okay, this is such a free and easy practice.
Right.
And so, this is important, and I'm sure people listening, that this is probably not a new concept, but can it be a new concept that lands today?
Right.
May it be the day that you actually hear it and say, what if I just did a gratitude journal for the next 7 days and allowed myself to explore, does that help with how I sleep? Does it help my day? The gratitude journal, I think it's fantastic. I do my gratitude in the morning, sometimes at night, but I think that I will take that challenge myself to do both night, right before I go to bed.
Right.
I do it in the morning after my as the very tail end of my meditation, and we're going to get into best practices for a morning routine for sure. Like that's coming, but I love the idea of just kind of decompressing from the day. And I do this with my high performance planner, is to just like look at, how did I do today? I like a little check-in, like, with the goals that I set for myself today. Was I intentional? Was I positive even during challenging times? Did I show up the way I wanted to in my relationships? Did I problem solve well today, or was I more reactive? On a scale of 1 to 5, how did I do with my reactivity versus being responsive and responding with awareness, or short-temperedness, or impatience, which is it changes from day to day, moment to moment, I think. But that opportunity to just do gratitude at night, and also get clear about your top 3, I think, like mission critical things. And they could be around fitness or your business or your relationship. And I think what's important with those top 3 is that they're not all in the area that you're the strongest in. Look at the hummingbirds outside the window right now while we're saying that. So with that, because I think it's wonderful, I think it's easy to, put goals in the areas that are already our strength. Like, okay, I'm going to work out, or I'm going to do this business goal. But then if there isn't a goal in the area that is your weakness, then your weaknesses get weaker and your strengths get stronger. And your weakness can topple the whole thing down, if that's your health, or if that is your mindset, or if that is your business, or your relationships. So within those top 3, make sure one of them is in an area that is perhaps uncomfortable or something that needs to grow. Is that?
Absolutely. And there's even a practice called 10 before 10, which is like the 10 hardest things that you need to do in a given day. Do it before 10 a.m.
Yes.
And this is something that I've learned. For me, I'm ready. Like, I wake up in the morning and this is my time. And then as the day goes on, I'm more tired and more tired and more tired. So I like to do my hardest tasks first thing in the morning. I do have clients who, they work best when it's midnight. Like, they work best when it's 4 p.m. I'm like, nobody works best at 4 p.m. But some people do. That's when their testosterone kicks back in and they're like ready to channel it. And this is something that's unique and different for each person. The evening winding down to prepare for the next day is something that really doesn't have to take a lot of time, and it's more to, yes, that mindful check-in, and to focus on your core desired feelings. So it's always comes back into the feeling state. So for me, my whole life, my whole business, everything I value is freedom over hustle. Freedom to live and work remotely. Freedom to work some days 12 hours and work some days not at all, or 1 to 2 hours. And all I need is Wi-Fi to carry out my soul-aligned work. And these things are so important to me, and really all my clients as well. So when you're creating your goals and when you're looking at your brain dump and your gratitudes, it's really coming back into what's the core desired feeling of how you want to live your life? What's the core desired feeling of how you want to operate your business or your romantic relationships or your connection to self? So take some time right now, and feel free to just think about it in your mind or to write it down. What are the feelings? Like when you daydream, when you think about yourself on vacation, or what you deeply desire, or what you're manifesting and calling in, what is the core feeling? Is it balance? Is it clarity? Is it healthy digestion? Is it intuition? Is it freedom and peace? So when you're creating these goals and you're creating that checklist, being aware that as you're creating it, these tasks or values are going to bring you within that core desired feeling.
So what I'm hearing you say is to make sure that there is a match and a weaving, that it's linking not just a task that is unrelated to the emotion that you're wanting and the experience that you're wanting in your lifestyle. Without linking that, then it just becomes tasks that don't necessarily move you closer towards your goal, which can actually move you away from it if it's not, you're not intentional about your goals moving you towards something. And I think that a lot of times the goal is so much focused on this dollar amount a month, or this much, a number within the business or something like that. And what I'm hearing you saying, which is so important, this is also what I share with my clients as well, is what is your intentional lifestyle?
Right.
Is it, hey, I want to spend as much free time with my family as possible? Is it, I want to be mobile? Some want to be in the same place, but want, because of their family or the school district or whatever, but they want to have more free time with their family. Others are like, I want to be mobile. I can be mobile, and want to be having an internet-based business where they can be anywhere. And some are like, the less screen time, the less Wi-Fi, the better.
Yeah.
I want to be on the land, growing my own food. And so that is such a different thing for each of us. And so many of us, I think, were raised with these common kind of conditions about you're just supposed to want this much money and this much, you're just supposed to want these things, like an acquired, given to you, adopted value set. And I think it's important, and what I'm hearing you saying is to create a value set that works for you, and don't just assume whatever you were told was actually going to fit you for the rest of your life, or fit you ever. And especially as right now, with all of this unpredictability with lifestyle and working in an office and commuting to work, all of that has changed, and our lifestyles have been, many of us, completely thrown upside down, which gives us the opportunity to question, was this the lifestyle that I wanted?
Absolutely.
This is a wonderful time to revisit.
It's a positive side effect.
It is a wonderful time to revisit. Is this the life that I want to keep living? The hustle, like you say?
Right.
And I appreciate that this has been a beautiful benefit to this time of really, is this sustainable? Is the question that I keep asking myself, whether it's how I'm purchasing or acquiring my food, whether it's whether I'm hustling too many hours of a day or at all, and is that sustainable on my adrenals? Is this a sustainable living environment? The house I'm living in or the community that I'm living, is this sustainable? And is it desirable 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line? What am I seed planting for the future? And I appreciate this question right now for our listeners to be intentional about your dream lifestyle. And then backwards plan the goals.
Right. And it's a high and holy and serious question, because even my fiance, he typically spends 2.5 hours in the car commuting every day, 5 days a week. And now he's working from home. We're on the road and working together. He's like, Erin, I have 2.5 hours back in my life every day. Like, that's 12.5 hours a week. Like, that's a really long time.
Right.
And he has all this extra time to just play or to create. He's become this amazing chef and a grill master. It's
Yay!
the best. It's really the best thing ever. Bottom line, and my favorite word is tachlis, which is a Hebrew word that kind of sums up the whole bottom line of everything that we're talking about. It's a raw and real time. People are sitting with themselves and they're deciding that no, the shit that I'm doing is not sustainable. This doesn't bring me joy. It doesn't matter if I'm making $100,000. It's taking my life away, and I want to shift. And especially in the online business industry, and I certify people in mindfulness and well-being coaching and strategy. So having all of this influx of healers and yogis and social workers and really spiritual core healers coming and going through the certification, they're recognizing now is the time, because they're sitting in their own energy. Yeah. And instead of sitting in the car driving to work, being at work all day, sitting in the car driving home, listening to the radio and watching TV and then going to bed and doing it all over again, we're giving ourselves time to pause, listen to a podcast like this.
Yes.
And recognizing that there is another way. People are buying self-help books. People are listening to our podcasts. Yeah. People are watching all the documentaries that are helping them be better people. Yeah. So the pressure is on. The time is now. For some of us, this has been a really hard time, and for others, this has been an awakening.
And I think it's both, that it can be, both, one precedes the other. The hard time precedes the awakening. And whether that's a hard time physically, just honoring whatever the classroom is for each of us, because it can be a hard time with health right now. It can be, and which invites a different lifestyle change, whether we get a wake-up call around a health crisis, or it's a wake-up call around financial challenge and financial stress. Then it's like, okay, what isn't sustainable about my spending or the way I'm receiving an income, and how it is with what's going out. And I think so many have had this budget check-in of like, wow, let me go back and look at all of these different things that my money is going to, and is that really, do I need that? And also, how am I receiving an income, and am I doing what I love? So I think people are having a career crisis too, along with a financial crisis. Am I doing what I love? Or people have been liberated, let's say, from things that they didn't love anyway. I can't tell you how many of my clients have said, I have hated this job. And I'm like, well, look at you, attracting to be let go from something that you hated. You would have kept holding on. How wonderful that you had this opportunity to be set free from something. And then it gives space to adjust the lifestyle and the priorities to attract and manifest something that is in greater alignment with a healthier lifestyle, something that you love, and more on purpose and intentional living. So, and it's just acknowledging the discomfort right now. We're in this metamorphosis, like the cocoon, the butterfly being in the cocoon that is in the unknown, where the old being a caterpillar is unfamiliar, and it's breaking down, and that is really deeply uncomfortable. I have been tremendously uncomfortable at different times during this process, across all of those ways. And it gives the opportunity to say, what isn't working any longer? Even if it used to work fabulously, things are changed, and it feels like intentional living also gives us the opportunity to be really more masterful at letting go of things that just don't work anymore, even if they used to, or things that don't fit who we're becoming, or they're just plain not sustainable or not joyful. And the upheaval right now is so amplified. It gives us the opportunity to say, okay, well, if I'm the creator of my reality, rather than focusing on fear-based of all my freedoms are getting taken away, because no one can take away our freedom to dream, no one can take away the freedom of how we spend our day, in how we direct our mind, whether it's feeding fear or faith, whether it's feeding positivity or victim mentality. And I feel like there's also around intentional living is intending on, like you said, with how much screen time, I also like to be aware of what's the quality of what I'm exposing my mind to, because my mental real estate is very precious right now. And so the intention of having clearer boundaries about not only how much we spend on screens, but also what information is getting in, and who am I surrounding myself, so that I am surrounding myself with thoughts and activities and content that is supporting me manifesting a dream reality, not from a place of fantasy, but from a place of total reality. A grounded manifestation, and not just giving our dreams away by having a boundaryless experience with distraction.
And I can just hear the thoughts of some of the listeners right now, and it comes with a certain level of time and privilege and intention. So let's just name it, because right now everyone who is unemployed in America, many of them are receiving more money on unemployment. So in the state of California, it's $600 a week, which is $2,400 for the month. And what I'm hearing from a lot of my clients who are in California, and this is pretty standard for the rest of the country, that the best possible way they could spend that investment after they cover rent and groceries is to invest in you, or to invest in me, or to invest in somebody who's going to help them heal, help them move forward, help them grow a business or a passion project or a new skill that they can master to help other people show up for themselves as well. And that's one of the greatest energy exchanges or downloads I've received during this global pandemic. That, I mean, some of my clients right now, I mean, they're paying me with their unemployment check, and they're on food stamps, and they're picking up high-level clients and it's nourishing soulmate clients, like deeply soulful work. And it only happened because of the pandemic.
This is an interesting opportunity that is rich with resourcefulness for those that are open to be present. And I've noticed that with intentional living, I noticed at different times, especially when things first started shifting, and I had my own like shock experience of, whoa, you know, what's happening. And my business, which is normally a lot of people coming here in Sedona, you know, went to zero in 24 hours. And it was like, after that initial shock, I knew better, at least from the tools that you're talking about, and from the tools that I've acquired and teach, and that I'm like, don't move from a place of fear and panic and uncertainty. Like, don't move from that place. And I knew enough to, back to intention, say, you know, let me just catch my breath, because it's a bit of a shock. And however this is resonating with you, whatever you're still having a bit of a shock. Maybe you just found out that you're unemployed, or you just, whatever the shift or the change or the whoa, because it seems like there's new ones every week with what's happening. It's not like they keep stacking on top of each other in some ways for some people. So just acknowledging that. And I knew that what I needed was that internal alignment before I moved. And that goes back to that meditation and gratitude. And here's what I do have. It's not about focusing on what I don't have, because I don't have that. I don't have that right now, or that's not available right now. And I could waste a lot of energy and lose a lot of creative time and energy focused in another way by feeding and holding on to and energizing, I don't have this was taken away from me, and then getting all on social media, and then, you know, being all frenzied up about what I don't have anymore and who's to blame. And within that period of time, it was just like, drop in, breathe, catch your breath again, and get deeply present with internal alignment, that I'm going to be okay. There's an opportunity within this for me. And when I really sat deeply with it, I was like, wait a second. It's go time for me as a soul. This is why I came, is to come and help people with personal development. And when is there more of an opportunity for someone like you, or for someone like me right now, to be helping people that are struggling? And that doesn't mean that you're not going through changes in your business, having to be resourceful or innovative or change plans or retreats or whatever to navigate these changes. I know you had wedding plans, all these kinds of things, you know, completely have to be very flexible and let go of a lot and be very, very resourceful. But in that space, in that quietude, so much creative inspiration came. And within a week, the abundance was manifesting, because I was listening to the universe say, hey, here's an opportunity, here's an idea, you can use this and put this together with that and offer this. And when I sat still, when I got really quiet, when I wasn't in that space of having the wind knocked out of you, because that's a legitimate thing. Like, you deserve some downtime, which isn't 4 weeks on a couch. Okay, you know, to catch your breath doesn't take that long. You know, one of my little solo casts was "Don't let bad habits steal your dreams," because the catching your breath turned into an excuse to do nothing and just and be validated. And I said, don't let bad habits steal your dreams. Just giving a shout out and name and truth tell about this is excessive and enabling this victim mentality. And from that listening, calm, still place of intentional awareness, where I'd caught my breath, I'd thrown my tantrum, and then I'm like, now what? And that's the juicy time of intentional living, when we can co-create with the universe in that time, and there's ideas and inspiration and resourcefulness and innovation is birthed from that. And like whole new aspects of my business opened up. I birthed whole new parts of my business during this time.
Beautiful.
And helped people globally, which it was more locally and more in the US. And so reaching out to all of these different countries and continents to provide resources to people that were in need and just needed a little support, a little community, some tools, some reinforcement to snap out of it, get back in the game. You got this. And we're needing that community at this time to remember, especially with so much negativity going on. It's easy to get pulled in week after week into the I can't, it's overwhelming, and the futility of it when there's so much fertility that's available. So we're going to get to the morning pretty soon. We're going to get to a morning routine, but I think we're really getting on a mindset here around the opportunistic things that are available during times of challenge, and how exciting this time can be for people.
We forgot to be curious.
Yeah.
And that's something. When was the last time we sat down to Google and just put in some keywords that intrigued us? I mean, this was something I used to do all the time just to see what popped up. And that's how I found all of these. That's how I found my master's program at Columbia. That's how I found this internship program that I did in India. This is how I found a farm to live on in Israel. Like, we need to sit down sometimes and just Google and get curious. And while we're hiking in Sedona, and we just had friends here, we're hiking in Sedona and we kept talking about, like, who discovered this? Like, who knew there was going to be some water all the way out here on top of this mountain? Like, what a peculiar place to just stumble upon. And it starts with curiosity. What do you need to be curious? A little bit of boredom.
Yeah.
So be a little bored, sit with yourself in your own energy, close your phone, limit the emotional eating as much as you can, although be gentle here, because this is like your basic, you're literally birthed into the world. The first thing you do is you go to the nipple, like you're programmed to have an oral fixation, so be gentle. If you could do anything, and if you were here to live a life of deep joy and freedom and balance and prosperity, what would you do from the hours of 9 to 5?
And I think it's fun to just be asked that question and release all the filters about it. Not like, can I do this right now with 3 kids? Just leave the limits and the I can'ts and the filters and that's too big or that's not doable. If you just had the exercise to just do this for fun and just allow yourself to dream. Allow yourself to dream. And that, I think that is just to get curious and say, well, God, because sometimes when we just let it drop in there, a little seed will start to take root. I could do this with my family, or we could travel, or we could do this kind of thing. We could. What if I just took 2 steps towards researching it? Okay, now there's this idea. And then what if I just took 2 steps towards, let me research online if there is anything like this. And then what if I took the next steps where I picked up the phone and I got even more information? And just that freedom to dream, and also the freedom to take a few steps in those directions and just get more information without letting the inner critic and the fear-based mentality shut down the possibility of dreaming before you ever put it on paper.
And some of our dreams, it's Paulo Coelho wrote in The Alchemist, your desires exist in the soul of your universe. It's the mission on earth. which means your desires exist for a reason. They didn't just like happen there. They're planted, they're seeds. And exactly what you said, they're like specific seeds that you can nurture and you can water and you can grow. And it's not always that wild or that crazy. Like for me, and even some of my clients, it's like, I want to wake up in the morning, drink a cup of coffee, and read a book while being in nature. And like, maybe that sounds so simple or so mundane, wild to some people, but it's like a place that you can start.
And this is what's so beautiful about making it your own. Like, if that's, you want to wake up on a farm, if you want to wake up, walk outside and have the beach there, if you want to wake up and just have a walk with your dog in the forest, it can be very simple. It's just the freedom to dream.
Right.
The freedom to dream and the willingness to entertain the dream and start talking about it and energizing. And I know both of us with manifestation, the podcast that I was on with you, Co-Creating with the Universe, we talked about being in this place that if that, like Paulo Coelho says, if that seed is inside you, it's for a reason. If that dream is there, it's probably likely for a reason, that it's something your soul is craving because it's part of your destiny and why you came here. And not just the bucket list, I want to jump out of an airplane or I want to visit Bali, but also things that deeply nourish the soul. And those are different for all of us. And if we left the critic out about, oh, well, this isn't big enough, or it's too big, or if it's too mundane, or it's too outlandish, if we left all of that at the door and just said, what nourishes my soul? I believe that intentional living that brings us joy will also be blending what we love to do with those seeds of allowing ourselves to dream, and that there's a convergence that happens between what our soul deeply nourishes and what brings us joy and happiness, and in the feeling of activating the feelings, like you said earlier, which I love that, because we know now with so many studies, with all of the Joe Dispenza work and so much about the neuroplasticity of the brain and the neural networks and the patterns of manifestation in the brain and co-creating with the universe, that our brain has the ability to dream something into reality. And this is not unlike the shamanic dreaming principles as well, that it starts in the mind first. Whether that's chaos and fear and we dream it into reality, or if it's joy and possibilities and we dream that into reality, that is a freedom that no one can take from us, which I think it feels so liberating to know that freedom is mine, it's ours, and that's what gives me peace each day, is that no one can take that choice from me. And so in this place of dreaming, feeding the emotionality behind it brings it closer to us. So that's one of the things that I do in my morning meditation, is what I call quantum manifestation or quantum visualization, where what you talked about, blending this meditation time with visioning the emotionality of the lifestyle you wish to create. So that's bridging that emotional intensity, which tells the brain, oh, this is real and inevitable, instead of it being a little thing we put on the vision board once a year or are too afraid to talk about because we don't want to not achieve it. But when we actually feed it every day with emotionality, with intention, and dream about it and give ourselves permission to see it already happening, that it tends to tell the universe, start sending me these things because I'm ready. Start opening doors, give me clues, help me to meet people that are going to help me to get closer to this. So what do you recommend in the morning that will help people manifest those things that they are intending in their dream lifestyle?
When your alarm goes off in the morning or when you naturally wake up, and these practices don't need to be so intense. I mean, that's where I think we can oftentimes get overwhelmed and then just not even show up for it. So bite-sized, digestible, the easiest practices. Your alarm goes off in the morning. For my women, it's Supta Baddha Konasana, so soles of your feet together, knees spread wide. This is a diamond. And practice the yogic breath, which is inhale, lower belly rises. Inhale, upper chest. And long exhale, release through the mouth. Now, men, you carry your stress and your anxiety in your shoulders, so it's goalpost arms. Your arms are spread out, a little bit of a starfish, hands pointing upwards, resting on the back. First thing in the morning, you are debating if you're going to snooze or not. Practice the yogic breath. Inhale, lower belly. Inhale, upper chest. Exhale through the mouth, let it go.
So that can happen in bed. You're just laying on your back.
Half asleep. You're like not even, it
And
becomes
so
such a practice.
Men make little goalpost cactus arms, and their legs are straight.
Legs are straight.
And
women, you open up your hips.
Yeah, you put our feet, our
soles of your feet together,
and
knees
then
spread wide.
knees spread out. That's wonderful. And you just do that for a little bit.
Just do that. Even if you fall back asleep, that natural oxygen is going to naturally wake you up. Oxygen is an incredible tool to energize your whole entire body and really get everything flowing. And that's really one of the best ways to start. I highly recommend moving in, getting out of bed, any Ayurvedic practices like tongue scraping or oil pulling, anything that feels comfortable, using the restroom, brushing your teeth, getting to your space or your mat, and stretch. Like, it doesn't need to be a sun A or a sun B. It doesn't need to be a yoga flow.
What I like about that, the stretching, is that even if you just have a few minutes just to get the spine going, because the spine can energize all the organs, it can increase the immune system, and it can also, work all of the glands. Yeah. So like twists, if you just do some standing twists or laying down twists where you're getting all the way from the neck, all the way shoulders and mid back and low back, and just doing some twists, either standing or laying. So twists, if I only have a few minutes, I'm going to get the spine, because a healthy spine is a young body.
Yeah.
So cat and cow are like flexing the spine down and back. So I like to do that.
Heart openers.
And then sideways like moon or crescent pose. Something that just looks at all of the ways in which to get blood flow and oxygen into the spine, which then gets it all in the body. So, okay, we are on the same page for sure there with that. But I do some breathing techniques, but I do like Kapalabhati breath of fire.
Yes, of course.
And then do a hold, and then I go into meditation. But I like the idea of getting out of bed or doing that breathing exercise on the back first,
just
as
a
like
couple
a transition.
Times. Yeah, even if you're snoozing for 5, 10, or 20 minutes, just get those breaths in.
It's
and
nice.
I teach up-level meditation. It's active meditation geared for somebody with ADD, ADHD, anxiety, depression, compulsive negative thought patterns. And there's a free gift that I have in the footnotes for all of you. It's a meditation quiz, erinrachel.com/meditation/quiz. And this is something where you can find out which meditation practices are best for your personality type. And then it gives you a really high-level introduction into my up-level meditation course, which I have a ton of free videos on YouTube for. But this is also the time you do your natural stretches, you practice your up-level meditation sequence, whether it's twisting or Kapalbhati, which only do if you are not menstruating in that present moment. And I'm really into this one Kundalini Kriya right now, where it's aura cleansing practice, where you can see me doing it on Instagram, because I saved it a lot on my stories on Instagram, at Erin R. Doppelt. So this is a practice where you kind of sway your arms above your head, and it cleanses all the energy in your whole entire aura. And then I set a timer for about 10 or 20 minutes for a silent seated practice.
So do some breathing, get some oxygen.
Yes.
Do some stretching, and just get some blood flow into the joints, into the spine. Do something, some movement practice. That might be 5 minutes. It might be 20 minutes. Sometimes I get on the rebounder for like 5 minutes, and I get really energized. And then some meditation. So the meditation, I think, is so essential. And like we said earlier, we hear all these things all the time, like a gratitude journal, and we hear these things all the time, like, oh, meditation. May this be the time that it really deeply, deeply lands for you, that you're hearing it, or reminds you, oh yeah, that's that tool that I have forgotten during these times to be as intentional with that I have been in the past. So maybe it's a remembering, or maybe it's maybe it's time to actually try that. So I appreciate that you said there's this quiz and some free meditations. Definitely, we'll be doing, we'll offer a free chakra balancing meditation for people, and like a free manifestation meditation for people as well, so that way you can, have something that helps you in the morning. Guided. I think right now it's really nice, especially if you're new to meditation, to have something guide you so that it helps focus your mind.
Absolutely.
I like to, in my meditations, I like to have the first part, I break it up into little sections of the first part where I just try to shush everything. Just like, shush already. Just quiet. And just practice not letting distraction enter my thoughts, even though I want to go to the to-do list or something that, my mind wants to go and do things. And I just practice for the first part to just be in stillness and quiet the nervous system, just quiet everything. And then in the second part of my meditation, I tend to be more receptive to like divine guidance, with spiritual counselor or a guide, or just open to receiving inspiration or anything during that time's guidance, advice. And then the third part is my dreaming time, to just allow myself to play in my mind the dream life to the point where I'm laughing hysterically, so grateful, and the people around, the life around, I'm on mountains, I'm playing with grandchildren I don't even have yet, I give myself permission to radically dream and have an elevated emotional state, so that I'm building the mind that knows that it's inevitable, and I'm up-leveling the mind that doesn't think it's possible.
What are some of the things you're manifesting right now?
It's fabulous. More playtime with family, more abundance to own some land that is, like a sustainable piece of land that, can build and have more community and sustainable living practices, moving towards that kind of growing more food and more living off grid. Beautiful. And playtime and really high levels, even more high level service, and more time with family and soul family, and like deeply impactful service, like really making such a profound difference. So intentional living and purposeful living. What about you? What are some things that you're manifesting right now?
I'm manifesting a book deal.
Yeah.
That's like something very tangible that I deeply feel.
Yeah.
And I am manifesting a beautiful, loving relationship with my soon-to-be husband, who might be my husband by the time this launches. And I am manifesting, I'm launching a new program that I was sitting with for a while today that's going to be a 12-month, pretty radical, life-changing program for spiritual-based entrepreneurs who are ready to fucking explode and share their magic with the world.
Right.
I'm deciding where the immersion is. I'm deciding between like Israel and India.
Sedona.
Yeah, Sedona. Yeah, like all of these places to have our mastermind. I'm manifesting health and safety and just a sense of peace and calm for mankind. It's something that we desperately need. And am manifesting a partner for my best friend. I think it's time, and this is like the right time to call this amazing man in for her. And just healthy habits. We're in this phase right now where I am noticing that my friends, we're drinking a little bit more, and we're definitely maybe not always eating the right foods, or we're not sleeping enough, or we're not really, I know self-care sometimes gets a bad rep out there, but I'm manifesting that everybody kind of remembers that they feel best when they're hydrated. They feel best when they only drink on the weekends, or they only have one glass of wine on the weekends, or they don't drink at all. And I know, as Anahata and I were speaking just now, and we're talking about our morning routine, it's start with a minute. It doesn't have to be so 20, 30 minutes first thing every morning. It's get that breath in, and then just realign. It could be when you're driving. Just think about what you want. What do you desire? What's at your core? What is intuitively within you?
Yeah.
And start there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the place to start.
Yeah. It's like I feel like in the morning I do best when I think like a third, about that. I have a third kind of meditation, manifestation, dreaming, realignment time, a third kind of in this space of movement and getting the blood flow in my body, whether that's just stretching, or if it's a hike, or if it's just a few minutes on the rebounder, whatever it is. And that changes every day for me depending on the day, but because it could be 5 minutes or it could be an hour. And then another third of time, part 1, part 2, part 3 is like intention setting for the day. Intentional. That's when I've got my journal out, and that's when I'm looking at my day. What kind of person do I want to be today? Who needs me to show up for them today? What qualities do I want to embody today? What are the priority tasks? I love this 10 before 10. What are the things that I really need to get done before 10 o'clock? I like that as well. I really look at the mission critical things that are what I call needle movers, that are not just tasks where I feel accomplished at 10 because I've checked off 10 things, but more about, did I get the tough things done, the things that maybe I don't want to do, the things that I keep pushing to the next day. And so the ones that really move things forward, whether it's in my health, whether it's in my business, whether it's in my relationships, did I do those things that really make a difference and are moving me towards that intentional lifestyle? And so that's where I like to set the time in my day before I actually start into the day and interact with other people, that it gives me time to journal or reflect or listen to a podcast and get in the right mindset for that day. And that has made such a difference. Then when I don't do those, when I don't have that time in the morning, my days go completely different. They go completely different. And when I do my check-in at night, it's like, wow, I was more reactive. I was less patient. I wasn't as productive. I got distracted more easily. And it's so, because I thought, does this really make a difference? Really, honestly, does it really make a difference? And over and over and over again, it 100% changes the way the day goes. And more miracles I tend to attract, an email, a synchronicity of, oh, you should meet this person. When I'm in that vibration that is more intentional, the conversations that I have, the doors that open, the doors that close on purpose because I'm intentional and I can make better decisions about what isn't a fit for me without guilt or shame. It's so different when that morning hour is really happening. And so any other tips or advice that you would have for people that are wanting to live a more purposeful life besides what we've shared? Is there anything else you want to share?
Be gentle, really, above all things. Don't be hard on yourself for not meditating. Don't be hard on yourself for not doing the 10 before 10. All of these things are tools you can use to help your soul advance, to help you show up in a deeper way. But it's not worth it if you're an asshole to yourself in your own head. Just be profoundly gentle. Speak to yourself as if you would speak to a puppy or your child or the younger version of yourself, like as sweetly and lovingly as you can. Be that positive voice in your own head. That's the most important advice that I can ever share. And show up.
Yeah.
Be gentle and then show up. Your desires exist for a reason. It is your mission on earth. The time is on. The pressure is on. Time has even stood still a little bit so that you could show up.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. There's this balance between being really gentle and also holding yourself accountable.
Yeah.
You know, that says, okay, this slipped or this happened or you needed a rest today. That's okay. Absolutely. Take the rest. And you know, then what can you do in the next day to be even more intentional? And if it's like, I really need to take care of this financial thing instead of make that call, well, then that's okay. Shuffle that and don't beat yourself up. I think that's great advice, to not bully yourself at these times. There's enough happening.
Going
there's
on.
enough just.
And drink water.
I know. We've been drinking water here.
We're just dehydrated. We're a houseplant with more complicated emotions. Just before you react or freak out or judge yourself, go fill up a glass of water, drink the whole thing, breathe a little deeply, and then realign and decide.
Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time in nature to just, I think because of, you know, with all of this fear and masking and just a little bit more of a contracted energy, that it's so nice to go outside and just open the lungs up and breathe. And so if wherever you can, go hug a tree. It's filtering the fresh air for you. Get outside, get some sunlight. Take the nap if you need the nap. Sleep when you need to sleep, and hydrate. And you know, perhaps pause before there's emotional eating or emotional drinking or emotional sedating with other substance, and to pause and just ask, what am I really feeling, and why am I feeling this, and what choice could I make that could make this feel a little bit better? Is this trying to tell me something? Like the emotional intelligence of depression or anxiety is usually something's wanting to change, or something's wanting to be adjusted or let go of or upgraded. And if we just sedate without the inquiry there, we miss the opportunity to make a refinement that will bring us closer to our dreams. So I think that we'll add that. We'll toss that in for good measure. You have been just such a wellspring of knowledge and joy, and you are certainly living a life, an intentional life, as you are, you know, traveling the way you want, in places that you want to be, and still able to live a thriving, healthy life and be still serving your clients in a passionate, purposeful way, while you're still supporting yourself and being a devoted partner and raising the bar for how you show up. So I'm deeply grateful that you're a role model for others to follow.
Me as well. Even just like sitting here together, and when you pause and breathe, I just feel my whole body relax. It's so healing. It's such good energy. Oh, it's such good energy right here. It's like I'm in the sunshine, I'm looking at the mountains. It's so healing.
Right?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my dear, dear pleasure. And I look forward to co-creating more magic together as the months and years unfold. I'm sure this is the beginning of a soul sisterhood that will last a lifetime and beyond.
Me as well.
Yeah. So where can people find you? And we will be sure to have that link that you talked about in the show notes. And and hey, go listen to the podcast, the Wise Woman podcast, where I was a guest on Erin's show last year.
Which was amazing.
And it was called Co-Creating with the Universe. So it was episode 45. We will also have that link in the show notes. So go check that out. She's an amazing interview. Her podcast is fantastic. So go check out her podcast and give her a rave review, because there's some wonderful, wonderful conversations on there. Shamangelic healing style, great content, deep, like authentic, real. and actionable steps. So where can people find you?
Find me on Instagram at Erin R. Doppelt, ErinRDoppelt. You can find me on my website, erinracheldoppelt.com. And definitely send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. Please reach out. You can email me hello@erinracheldoppelt.com.
So good. And thank you so much for that, the free gift of just going to take a meditation quiz to see like what fits you, because everybody's so different.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's a beautiful and creative way, because not all meditation fits everybody. And especially if you're just starting or you're having any trouble or want to expand or diversify your meditation in some way, that would be a lovely place to start.
Oh, yeah. And I have a whole 28-day online course, Up-Level Meditation.
Fantastic.
It's life-altering. It teaches you how to meditate and keep the practice forever.
Fantastic. Yay. Wonderful,
Yay.
Wonderful. Well, you can find me here in Sedona if travel permits and soul calls. Come and visit me here in Sedona. Reach out on the website, shamangelichealing.com. There's an inquiry form. Let us know when you're coming so we can book off time when you are making your visit to Sedona. Otherwise, I'm online because of COVID and all of this, there's more coaching and counseling online, as well as we do have an upcoming retreat here in Sedona, a Soul Awakening retreat in early September, and then a Goddess Awakening retreat at the end of September. And for those women that are still listening, we're doing an online Awakening the Sacred Feminine series, which has been so deep and powerful for womb healing and activating sacred sexuality. And so that is an online course, and of course certified high performance coaching for anyone around the world needing some one-on-one support during these challenging times, to provide guidance to really drop in to creating an empowered, thriving life you love. So between Erin and I, we got you covered.
Yeah,
and
you're in good hands.
get the support you need, whether it's with either of us. It doesn't matter. What really matters is that you don't go navigating it by yourself during these times, that if you are needing support, reach out and get it. Get the tools you need to help identify your blind spots and move forward more efficiently, more productively, and more freely and passionately and joyfully. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Go to the podcast and leave us a rave review and share this conversation if something really landed for you today, which if you're still listening, then we know something did. Share it with a friend. Tag somebody so that way somebody else can hear this conversation and they can feel moved and inspired by it as well. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we appreciate you. Go forth and shine, and know that you're not alone. There's beautiful soul sisters like Erin and I sending you blessings, and you're in our meditations and our prayers every day. Okay, bliss forth, everybody. Bye.